Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Become a Guest to Apply. All right, so today I have Richard Ward on the line, and he is a certified financial planner and also founder of Success with Purpose. Richard, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Adam. It's great to be with you. Thanks.
All right, Richard. So I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we'll talk about living a richer life, and I think you have quite a unique take on this. I think people are watching this right now, like, okay, two suits and ties, talking about money. But I'd encourage you to stick around with us because Richard has a lot to share on today's topic. But Richard, we'll start this like we start all our episodes with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Richard, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, experts, and executives. That's our mission. Richard, what mission matters to you?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. My mission is really about helping more people live this richer life. I've been a certified financial planner for well over 30 years, tend to work with mature people who really kind of understand that financial success is not the only goal in life. Rather, they understanding to really achieving some real significance is the best way for them to live out the second half of their life to the very fullest. And so, to that end, I show people new ways to use their skills, their experiences, and resources to help others, which I believe is really the key to this significance. And once they decide they want this kind of a better future, I provide the financial and philanthropic guidance that helps them really achieve this significance and live a much richer life.
That's awesome. And I love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs and executives on the line and really having them share why they do what they do, what wakes them up in the morning, like what they're passionate about. And you're obviously passionate about what you're doing. I do want to go further, and I know you touched on it, but I do want to go further into this concept of living a richer life. So, I mean, for those that have been watching this show for a long time, you may know that I have a financial background. I was in the business almost 14 years in financial services, work with a lot of people, and I feel like a lot of times advisors, or many different words for somebody that helps people with their finances. But I feel like sometimes people have this impression that we're just stuck in a Excel spreadsheet all day, or we're looking at pie charts all day, and that's a good part of the role maybe when you're evaluating things. But this concept that you've extended of living a richer life, in my opinion, it takes the chair much further. So you're looking at more than just, of course, a portfolio overview or something like that. So maybe elaborate a little bit more on how you came up with this concept of living a richer life.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. And there is a lot more to it than that. Certainly, we want to make sure that we have the money to do what we want to do in the future, accumulating wealth that we can use. But I really look at it as okay, but what to what end?
Yeah.
Money is a means; it's not an end in and of itself, and so forth. And I really think it's kind of where we go with our life and how we help other people learn or grow that is really the key to finding this kind of personal fulfillment that allows one to live a richer life, if you will. Kind of my story relative to that is that I did, the traditional financial planning that you're alluding to for many, many years. And the goal of that typically was to help people accumulate enough money
Yeah.
so they really wouldn't have to work any longer, right? We often call it retirement or whatever, but that was really the goal. And I helped people do that. And I saw way too many of them kind of give up their work, their purpose in life, and become somewhat disengaged and headed downhill oftentimes. I really didn't think it was a very pretty picture. Didn't know if I wanted to keep doing that year in and year out. So I had to do a little soul searching. Now, I had been a volunteer in the community for many years, and I saw how great it was to help other people and the rewards that come from, helping a kid get an education or somebody experience the arts for the first time or, the disabled get some job training. So I really learned that some of the biggest rewards in life come when we are helping others
Yeah.
grow and thrive. Also had the opportunity to hear from some successful business people at a seminar I went to. These were people that had done well in their business careers, had a lot of success, but were kind of getting bored with that. It just wasn't turning them on anymore to the
Yeah.
same degree. And they talked about going on kind of a little bit of a mission of discovery and re-examining their lives and what they could do with it. And Some of them had found some really unique ways to take their business skills and so forth,
Mhm.
and turn it into projects and missions that really helped other people live better lives. And
Wow.
when I saw that and heard their stories of engagement like that, the light bulb went off. It was like an aha moment for me. And I said, wow, this is what I should be doing. I should be helping people, not so they can quit, but so they
Mhm.
can do something really worthwhile with the rest of their lives. And so I refocused my practice on helping people really figure out where and how they could use their skills and experiences, as I said earlier, to make a difference in the lives of other people. And that was something worth doing the financial planning for.
Wow. I love that you had an aha moment. So it's like that's one of those life-changing things where you can kind of just see your future and what you want to do next. So I mean that to me is an inspiring moment, but I'll throw this out there. So not everybody, there's some people watching this right now that are maybe they're just getting started, maybe they just graduated college or they're a couple years out of college or even age aside, they're just thinking about their what's next, right? A
Mhm.
lot of pivots going on, a lot of changes in the last couple years for many people. What kind of advice would you give to someone that's watching this, being so many years in the industry yourself, on maybe like on what they should think about of if they think that this type of career helping people in the manner that you are is if they're a right fit for it? Like, what kind of things would you tell them?
Well, I'd tell them that it's worth considering. Look, we all need to take care of ourselves and our families, right? So, somebody that's getting out of college and starting out in life is going to focus on career and business and that type
Yeah.
of thing, and try to get established. And I get it. That's really important, and you need to do that. But I'll tell you, Adam, in today's world, especially in the professions, my profession, lawyers, accountants, others, we all tend to look alike, and it's
Mm.
hard to stand out in the business world. So, how do you build a business and a practice when you're offering the same thing a lot of other people are offering day in
Yeah.
and day out? Hard for people to really remember that. But if you have interests, if you have passions, you have things you care about, and you find ways to incorporate them in your life and in your business, as I think many people can,
Hmm.
then you start to look a little bit different. And if you will not be too modest, but rather kind of share what you're doing, where you want to have an impact, and how you're helping other people authentically, you can stand out as being someone that really cares about the community and the world a little bit more than perhaps others. And you
Hmm.
will naturally attract people who value that and think that that's pretty wonderful that you're actually helping. So I believe this is a means also to have a little more personal fulfillment in our businesses and our careers and our lives as we go through them day in and day out.
Hmm.
But it also helps us stand out, and it helps us be something a little bit more than just a financial advisor or just an attorney or whatever we might be.
Hmm. That's great. And so going deeper into the concept of living a richer life. So I know that term, or when people hear that, depending on what stage in their life, will, it could have a completely different meaning. If you're just graduating, you're just starting maybe to accumulate some assets or, do some things versus maybe you have a family and you have a couple of kids and now you have a completely different set of things to on your plate, or maybe you're nearing that retirement, or you may be even retired on that side of things, and now living a richer life could mean a completely different thing for you. Maybe you're getting into that distribution phase of life where now you're spending a little bit more money or other things. I don't know, like, can you take us through your thought process on like what that evolution looks like?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and it does change. Again, I think for the younger people, figuring out things that are matter to you, what you care about. Maybe you got a great education and you want to give back in that regard for other kids.
Yeah.
That's a starting place. It was for me. You might get involved with a school or a college or whatever alumni program, and be able to help them out a little bit. But it's finding something you can incorporate in your life. Doesn't take 30, 40 hours a week. It takes maybe a couple hours, 5 hours. Something that
Mhm.
you can be involved with, particularly from a volunteer perspective, which is, I think, where you really learn a lot about this field and about the great rewards that come from helping organizations. And as you get older, when you have families, you're naturally going to be involved, I think, with kids, and you're up bringing them up, I should say.
Yeah.
And that oftentimes means school activities, may mean sports activities, and there's other ways for parents to be involved, but they're helping out and they're making a difference in their kids' lives and the lives of other kids. I know I coached my kids and others when other parents couldn't or wouldn't, and you make a difference in their lives, and you understand how valuable it is to be giving to the community in that way, and kind of expand from there into other activities that might be going on through
Hmm.
church or through schools or community associations or whatever you might find in your local area as you get into life. With success comes the opportunity to be a little more generous, a little more
Hmm.
supportive of organizations. You can be involved with something in the sense of providing a little bit of financial support, perhaps
Hmm.
to organizations as well as you go through time. And we do naturally progress as we get older. We're generally more successful. We have a few more dollars in the bank. We have a
Yeah.
little more that we can work with, and we can figure it out, and we ought to. A lot of us kind of fall into a route of giving a few bucks to whoever asks or whatever comes
Hmm.
along, type of thing, which is fine. Nothing wrong with giving to those that ask, but ultimately we want to really, I think, develop a sense of supporting things that matter to us, that are
Yeah.
important to us. And so it takes a little bit of work sometimes to really think through what causes are really important to us. Sometimes it comes because it affected our family, somebody was
Hmm.
ill, somebody got an education, that whatever might have had an impact on the family, and it's a little easier to find something we care about. But for most of us, we really should be thinking about the bigger picture of life and what we believe in and what we think is really critical and important to the community and to the world, and figure out ways to be supportive of that and figure out what we can afford to give and provide financial support, or how many hours we can give to that. I think it's particularly critical when we get to the second half of life,
Yeah.
perhaps becoming a senior and maybe retiring. One of the critical issues that, again, I gets back to my experience with
Hmm.
people, was that they were retiring to kind of this false promise about, they're going to run on the beach every day and play a lot of golf and take cruises, all fine things to do, but it doesn't fill your life for 20 years, So,
No.
having a sense of purpose is still important, I believe, if you're going to continue to grow and evolve. So these folks, perhaps more than anybody else, should be looking around at things they care about, get involved with something. They can be a volunteer, they can be a
Hmm.
mentor, they can be a leader, they can be the financial supporter. There's lots of places and ways to be engaged with that, with something you really believe in. But if you believe in it, you'll support it in the manner of saying, I'm going to do my best to make sure this mission succeeds and this
Yeah.
really gets someplace. And that is getting me up in the morning, kind of excited about the challenges ahead, whether it's a couple hours a week or, more, or whatever role we're playing. It's important. And I want to have that impact on people. And
Hmm.
so, that is something that's going to sustain me and keep me growing and evolved. And I think that is just so important for, our senior population, who oftentimes find themselves bored at home.
So I want to switch it up a bit. I want to get into success with purpose and really why you started it. So maybe first off, just tell us a little bit more about success with purpose.
Well, success with purpose was a label that we came up with to kind of encompass the different aspects of this that I was involved with.
Hmm.
You know, there are great organizations doing great work in the community, way more than I can ever detail or list
Yeah.
or whatnot. But I've been exposed to a lot of great organizations, and it's
Hmm.
wonderful. And I wanted to give them a place to be highlighted and what they were doing. Kind of events and activities that maybe they're looking for donors or supporters or people to buy a ticket or whatever, and allow
Hmm.
them to share that. Um, it was also a great opportunity to share real stories of people who've done this kind of thing,
Yeah.
people who've been involved, found different ways to make an impact, make a contribution that was really meaningful to them, that may have really changed their life in some significant way. And I think it was important that others hear those stories, that others see their experiences and know how great this is from
Hmm.
reading about them, and thereby maybe inspire them to get involved themselves. So it was important to give people a platform for being able to share their ideas and stories as well. My philanthropy and my interest is also an important part of this. I want to share concepts and ideas around this where people could learn a little bit about this world and this involvement and why it was valuable, how I got there, and so forth. So we
Yeah.
created this website, Success with Purpose, where we could pull all this information together in one place at one time and ask people to look at that occasionally and see, what events might be coming up, read a story about somebody, read a blog about philanthropy, particularly my concept of, philanthropy for the rest of us rather than for the uber rich and so forth. So, a lot of these ideas in one place. And I think it shares who I am fairly well. And when I'm out meeting people, I kind
Mhm.
of direct them to that because I think that really speaks to my background, my beliefs, my values, what's important to me, much more effectively than a corporate website that says this is what I
Yeah.
do.
And one of the things I like about Success with Purpose is that you really do hit a lot of those big, life type events that happen, that is, or when people, typically like really start buckling down and getting like serious about their finances. So things like well, actually, I want you to start with, if you may, I know you mentioned it, but philanthropy for the rest of us, like expand on that a little bit more because I think it's an
Yeah,
interesting concept.
yeah, it's something that occurred to me in the last year or so as I've been working in this arena. Um, I think
Mhm.
my perception, and I believe maybe many others see it the same way, when we get introduced to the concept of philanthropy and we
Yeah.
talk about it, we see it and so forth, it oftentimes is really focused on these really uber wealthy people who write very big checks and
Yeah.
hospital named after them or a wing of a building or something of that nature. And
Hmm.
I think we've all seen it and so forth. And, that's great and all, but it's not most of us. In fact, two-thirds of all philanthropic gifts are between two and $3,000 a year. So they're not huge gifts like that. And most of us are not going to be getting a building named after us at some point. And so the natural question is, should I be involved? Is that for me or is that just for the rich, the uber rich people? And I really believe we all have something to offer. We all can be involved in this arena. We all can make a difference in other people's lives. And just as importantly, we all can learn
Hmm.
about the power, as my friend John Justafaro often says, learn about the power of philanthropy to change lives for the better. Not
Hmm.
only the people we're helping, but our own lives. And that's really important. So, if you're giving $1,000, 5,000, 10,000, $20,000 a year, whatever it is, that's important. And it has a really potentially life changing impact to have. So it is important. And I wanted to bring this up and let people know
Hmm.
that this is a world that we all can and should participate in. It's not something reserved for the uber wealthy. We all can do that. I don't typically work with the uber wealthy people out there. I work with the successful upper middle class type of people, you and me and the rest of us, right?
Hmm.
And we all can participate in this arena, and we should. So let's talk about it. Let's figure out
Hmm.
what might be appealing to you. Let's figure out ways to get involved with it. Let's be effective and use our money wisely and get the
Yeah.
kind of potential tax advantages and so forth that we can get from making the right kind of gifts to the right organization at the right time. But it is an arena for the rest of us. And so I wanted to share that concept, and I tried to write a couple times about ways that we can do this that you might not have thought about because again you're thinking it's only for those other folks, but no, it's for us, and we all can
Mhm.
do this, and we all can take advantage of it, and we all can be involved with this philanthropy that is for the rest of us.
And another one of the topics that you tackle there is really the idea of when somebody's maybe getting ready to or exiting a business. And a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, executives that watch this, and I say this all the time. Like for those that have been following this for a long time, this is one of my hot buttons. So when people are, they work their whole life, they think maybe their child's going to take over the business or not. They're grown up kids, I should say. Maybe they're going to take over the business, maybe they're not, like they're not making necessarily the right plans. Then it comes to that exiting event, and sometimes they don't maybe get the value or get what they should have out of it because they hadn't been necessarily planning for this right for long enough. So this is one of my hot buttons. So what
Mhm.
kind of content do you have in terms of when somebody's nearing or thinking about exiting a business?
That's a great point, and it's a great opportunity time as well. I tried to share this concept a little more broadly, particularly for this audience, through a book I wrote a couple of years ago called Redefining Retirement, Finding Purpose and Passion for Your Second Half. But it highlights some stories along this line, Adam, and there are the business owners who are getting ready for that final event after 35 years of running the
Yeah.
business, working 24/7 and just putting their whole life into this business. And hopefully they're getting really good business advice around,
Hmm.
what makes sense as an exit and how to go about that, maximize value, et cetera. That's a whole specialized world. Know a lot of people in that arena. I don't do it, but a lot of people do. But part of the equation is, how do you save on taxes when you sell that business for, $25 million, and the government wants its, 40% off the top, that's
Yeah.
daunting. How do we do that? How do we make sure that we have the right outcome that can allow me to take care of my family and the people I care about?
Hmm.
Maybe the causes I want to help at the same time.
Hmm.
And of course, find that fulfillment point, because again, you're leaving what you've done for 35 years, and now you have 20 years of running on the beach.
Yeah.
If you don't plan forward a little bit about that and find something else to be engaged with. So,
Hmm.
it's still the question that I ask is, what's next?
Hmm.
You've been doing this for a long time. What's next? What are we going to do? How are you going to be engaged in life?
Hmm.
Have you thought about helping some of the causes that you care about? If you don't know the right one, let's find them. Let's look through that and then do that. But you have the opportunity to be very generous, both to organizations you care
Hmm.
about or causes you care about, and to your family at the same time. And this is some
Yeah.
part of the philanthropic planning work that is very important for these folks to look at. And if they wait until the deal is done, they probably have missed a big part of the this opportunity that would be there for them. Not that they can't still be generous and all, but if they wanted to save real tax dollars and
Hmm.
get some benefits that really would have made a difference to that transaction and where they ended up and how much they had for
Yeah.
their family and so forth, they need to be doing that in advance of that deal being done. So it's something that's important for them to be thinking about and doing and getting advice on while they're in that process and before they actually hand over the keys and walk away.
Yeah. Another big topic that I don't think we talk about enough is really inheriting wealth. So what happens when you inherit wealth, or you have an unexpected, inheritance, and like, what is that? How does that change your life? How do you change your planning? Like, where does all that fit in? Because there are some things to adjust. So tell me more about that concept.
Well, yeah, it is not an uncommon a challenge that comes along fairly regularly for people, obviously, with
Yeah.
the older generation passing along, and tremendous wealth being passed in today's world. So it is happening. And the interesting aspect of it is, for people who've really never had money before, that
Hmm.
can present some challenges. They're not quite sure how to handle that. There's the danger of spending sprees and going out and buying everything under the sun.
Hmm.
And of course, all those too many new friends that want some help, so, those kind of issues can present themselves that they need a little thought through.
Yeah.
So protecting what one inherits, I think, is a really important financial planning challenge that is important for all to be discussing. But it does also allow them to think about
Hmm.
this too. I mean, if you're 50 something and you've been working hard and you're getting there, and all of a sudden you receive a significant inheritance, it might cause you to accelerate some of your plans. You
Hmm.
may want to be generous, helping others in different ways. Going around in the world and teaching, for example, and assisting. Uh, Instead of waiting till you're 65, maybe you can move that up and do that a little bit
Yeah.
earlier. Again, with the right kind of planning, you can move into those charitable pursuits and those kind of things where you are helping others learn and
Hmm.
thrive, as we said earlier. So it can really present unique opportunities to do that kind of thing, and to be very generous, whereas you may not have been able to do quite as much before.
And so, Richard, I understand that outside of a success for purpose, you actually do work with clients and have a practice. Maybe just tell us a little bit about what makes working with you and your team unique.
What does make us somewhat unique is that we do have this focus on talking about where and how are you able to be generous? How are you able to to help others? How are you able to use your wealth to live this richer life in the future than
Hmm.
you might have otherwise had? So that, I think, is an important part of the conversation.
Hmm.
And I believe good financial planning is really focused on those questions and on the
Hmm.
future and on conversations around what's important to you. What do you want to see happen for your family, for yourself, for others? What do you want to be involved with and support?
Hmm.
What are the values you have that you think are important to share and carry on in your family and that kind of thing. So looking at those questions and really figuring that out before we,
Hmm.
like you said, run spreadsheets is really the critical part of it. We try to spend an awful lot of time on that to really get to know people and know what's important to them, and maybe raise some questions they hadn't thought about raising for themselves, but may turn out to be really important things for them. So we try to do that, help them get the right kind of assistance with other professionals. They
Hmm.
need the estate planner and they need the tax accountant, they need the good insurance people. They need all those advisors to help them carry out their plans in the
Yeah.
future. We help coordinate it, but they, need those that kind of assistance as well, and really make sure that they're taking this long-term view. It's not about getting rich tomorrow. It's
Hmm.
about having money to do what you want to do, 5, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and maybe longer than that, particularly if
Yeah.
you're going to be sharing wealth with your children or others that are younger. So it's really taking that long view and planning and working for that, investing for that in a prudent way.
Mm.
Like I say, I'm not here to make people rich. Here to make sure they can do the things they want to do in the years ahead,
Mhm.
effectively with as little risk as possible, and to have the kind of comfort that they want to have as they go through the years ahead. I guess so. That's our story and what we try to deliver day in and day out.
Well said, Richard. And I just have to ask. So I know you're busy. You got success with purpose. You have your practice. A lot going on. I mean, what's next? What's next? What's next for you? What's next for the brands?
Well, thank you for asking. Kind of the short-term picture is, continuing to do these things and
Hmm.
helping, people that come and look for those kind of opportunities. I want to get these stories out to more people in the near future. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to compile a little bit of a new book called Living a Richer Life, Real Stories of Impact. She'll highlight some of these people again and what they've been doing and how they've helped the community or the world with
Hmm.
their thing. So, you know, not everybody spend all their time online going to look up the stories that I can share there. So if I can give them a small book to read time to time, then maybe I can get that story out a little bit more effectively and talk about why I think they can live this richer life as well. So that's something I hope to be able to deliver in the first part of next year at some point, getting that all together now. I'm going to continue to do what I do for some period of time, but I am also involved in the community and I do enjoy being able to help organizations be more successful. And I have some background in leadership and boards, and I try to serve in that capacity in the areas that I believe are important. And I'm
Hmm.
looking forward to doing more of that in the next year and into the future as well.
Speaking of books, I know you mentioned that you have this one coming up. You mentioned earlier in the interview you had another book, and that one's already released. I want to circle back to that. So tell us a little bit more about that because we're going to add some links and things like that in the show notes. I want my audience to definitely go pick up a copy and go from there.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. I don't know if most are going to afford it, but yeah, this book, Redefining Retirement, finding purpose and passion for your second half, was really aimed at these people that are 50 plus and
Hmm.
thinking about what's next in life and what they're going to do. And it tries to point out that, there's more than one path in front of you.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of know the traditional path for retirement, that you're going
Hmm.
to give up your work, you're going to go on some cruises, you're going to take it easy and not do a heck of a lot with the years ahead. You're going to relax and enjoy life
Hmm.
now, as they say, in your retirement years. So that's the one path, but I don't know that all of us find that particularly appealing. We think about living into our 80s and beyond. I think one of the stats in the book that, when you retire at 65, depending on
Hmm.
how long you live, you have 7 to 10,000 days in front of you. So a long time to be running on the beach or playing golf or
Yeah.
whatever. So, what's going to fill it up with purpose and get you up in the morning? And the other path was the one I tried to demonstrate in the book, was that there are ways to be engaged and find
Hmm.
opportunity for giving back and being part of this world. Some examples of that with people that have done this kind of thing, and whether they were still in their working career or maybe gone beyond that with
Hmm.
sale of a business or a retirement or whatever. But the importance of being able to find those next plays, participate, and how to make it work, and how to make sure that you have the security to be able to pursue those kind of passions in your retirement year. That's really what it was all about.
That's great. So, Richard, first off, it's been excellent having you on the show today. I learned a lot. I'm glad to bring this to my audience so that they can start rethinking, reframe, like reimagining what their relationship with money overall just looks like, right? It doesn't have to just be this. I mean, sure, the spreadsheet, that's part of it, but overall, like the idea of not just the money, but what it allows you to do. So, it's been great to learn more about your background and your insight on these topics. If somebody's watching this and they want more information on either success with purpose or to even learn more about your practice and what it looks like to work with you and your team, and of course, the books, I mean, the upcoming book, last book, how do people connect with you and your brand overall?
Yeah, that's the simplest part of this, which I hope is a good thing, and that is that they could just go to
Mhm.
successwithpurpose.org. That's the site. That's where all these things are listed. The book is offered there. The stories and all the rest are offered there. My bio and background is provided there. A link to my business is there. So everything is right there that
Mhm.
they would ever need to pursue this if they want to. But I hope they'll get inspired by taking a
Yeah.
look at that and see what some other folks have done and some of the great organizations that are serving our community, making things better. And they
Mhm.
want to read about my perspective on what I care about and how I try to support organizations. They can they can learn that too there. So it's all there.
Awesome. And one more time, that's successwithpurpose.org.
.org. Yes.
Come on, and we'll have don't worry, we'll have that in the show notes for everyone watching. We'll make it real easy. Go down there, just click in the show notes, and we definitely want you to go check out Richard's work. And for everybody watching, especially if this is your first time and your first time with us, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We have many more mission-based business owners, entrepreneurs, and experts coming on for you. All mission-based, all with great stories to share and great lessons to teach. And we don't want you to miss a thing. So hit that subscribe button. And Richard, really, it has been a pleasure. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Oh, and it's all been my pleasure, Adam. Thanks so much for having me.